You know what they say, pride comes before the fall, and that certainly happened in his case. But, you know, even more so, you guys were his friends, and he just kind of stabbed you in the back, you know, in plain English. Instead of just saying, hey, this whole thing went wrong, I apologize. Fortunately, you know, nothing really horrible happened. I got away with this. But he doubled down and really paid the price for it and put you guys through a lot of aggravation you didn't need, really. And again, you're two actors acting out a scenario that another actor asked you to do. You know, the crazy thing about it is you just happen to be sitting there in the middle of a polar vortex, freezing your butts off, with bleach and a rope, waiting for somebody to come so that you can attack them for being in MAGA country. The whole thing sounds so surreal that it's so believable that you were acting this out. I mean, it's almost like anybody could see it. You'd say, wait a second, you know, this is too crazy to be a real situation. Something
It sounds like a fake movie, like
absolutely,
like
absolutely.
it was all written. It sounds written,
Scripted, yeah, totally.
And let me ask you this. After that, you figured your role was done. That was it. You did what you wanted to do that night. That was it. Next morning, you're off to Nigeria. You got paid $3,500, even though that's not what this was all about. And, you know, you're hopeful that at this point in time, he's going to appreciate that, maybe help your career, because he was in a position to do that.
Certainly, yeah.
Okay. So now you finally get home, you take off the clothes, you're trying to thaw out because you're freezing. And the next morning, you're on a plane to Nigeria.
Yeah, so the next evening, we're on a plane ride to Nigeria. And he had called me on the plane ride to Nigeria, asking if everything was okay. Am I okay? All right. And I said, yeah, we're okay. He asked, are we still going to Nigeria? I said, yeah, we're on our way now to the airport. So the next time he contacted us was when we were in Turkey. We had a layover in Turkey. And that's when he asked again, are we still on our way? Is everything okay? That time he sounded a little more nervous, but that's all he had asked. And from there, we went to Nigeria. We were in Nigeria, and then eventually he contacted me about giving him the workout program, which I did deliver to him. And while in Nigeria is when we saw the thing had blown up. It was all over social media.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one that saw.
Yeah.
A question, did he immediately go to the police first? Or did he go to the studio first, to Fox first? Who did he approach first with this?
After the fact, he actually called the police that same night. That same night the attack happened, he called the police.
Or someone with him. The person that was with him called the police.
Did you know that he was going to call the police? Did he ever tell you that it was going to get to that point?
No. So the police were, from our knowledge, the police weren't supposed to be involved. It was supposed to be a social media project or something puts on social media, or he gives maybe the TMZ. So he never mentioned that he was going to call the police. And actually, that's when it became a crime, when he did call the police.
Sure.
So that's another thing that people are wondering about. Aren't we two conspirators in this crime? No, we never committed a crime because we did not call the police, and we did not know he was going to call the police. It would have been a conspiracy if we called the police, if we filed a false police report.
Absolutely, yeah. For you, again, you were acting out a scenario and as two actors, and that was it. So his real blunder here was calling the police.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If he just stuck to the plan, he would have been good.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't realize once you put a report like that down, You open up an investigation, and then all hell breaks loose, as they say. Okay, so you find out about it, and at some point in time, you're coming back to Chicago. What happens then?
In Nigeria, I'm on Twitter, and I see on Twitter that the police are involved. So I let my brother know because I'm kind of nervous now because the police weren't supposed to be involved. So I'm like, okay, I'm thinking to myself and talking to him like, what's gonna happen if they find out it was us? Like, can we get in trouble for this? So on our way back to America, he feels like something's not right. You can go ahead and tell
Yeah,
me.
so I had a hunch or intuition. I told my brother that I think the police are waiting for us. I think they know that we were the ones that did the fake attack because the police were putting out certain information and they were like leaving out other key parts. So I'm thinking like, yeah, they know it's us. That whatever, we'll go back to Chicago. So lo
And
and behold,
to come find out, the police already knew it was us 3 days into their investigation.
exactly 3 days in. So
How,
when we
how do
got
you,
back,
let me ask you this. How do you think they knew it was you? Did Jussie tell them that?
no. So what happened was they did their investigations, and through Uber rides, cab rides, they found out that it was us
Got it.
that did the attack, fake attack. So on our ride back to when we got back to Chicago, we weren't sitting together. So he had gotten off the plane before me. So while I was getting off the plane, something that has never happened to me before was going on. A custom agent was checking people's passport. So I'm looking like, why are they checking people's passport? This is not normal. So eventually, when it got to me, they said, "Yeah, follow us." I'm like, "Oh man, damn, they got me." So I leave with them. We go get my bag, my luggages, and when we get my luggage, they check it. They look for contraband. I did not have any contraband, so then they said I was free to go. I was like, I'm free to go? Really? Okay. Deuces. So as I was leaving, I went through two big doors that lead to outside, and then two police officers intercepted me and was like, "Hey, are you so and so? Follow us." I'm like, "Damn." Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
So then they
Yeah.
took me to a room, and that was my story in the airport.
Yeah, and the same exact thing that happened with him happened to me as well.
Well, guys, just so you know, I've been there and done that a few times, so I get it. Looking at the passport, hey, step over here, come with me. I've heard that's not a good feeling. You don't like that, but
At all.
At all.
Yeah.
so did they arrest you at that point?
Yeah, so they did arrest us, and then they took us to Area Central, so the main police station in the city.
And that's when, at that point in time, you decided to tell them the truth, basically. Was it right then and there, or did you say, I need to see a lawyer, or how did you react at that point?
Yeah, of course, we've always been taught to ask for a lawyer, never talk to the police, and that's exactly what we did. So we waited for a lawyer. Our mother was the one that contacted our lawyer, Gloria, and had her meet us at the police station. And it was through Gloria that's where we saw Jussie on the Robin Roberts interview and learned that it was actually him who had called the police and informed the police. So from then on, and we try to contact Jussie too so he can clear everything up. We tried to contact him, but our lawyer couldn't get in contact with him. So we went ahead and told the police everything that happened.
Yeah, so we were waiting for Jussie to come clean to say what actually happened. That never happened. So another thing is that eventually we found out, and it's in the police reports, that Jussie was going to sign a complaint against us, saying that we really did attack him. And after he knew it was my brother and I, his friends. So that really put a bad taste in our mouth. And they said at the 47th hour is when we did talk to the police. So after we talked to the police, they let us go. We
Yeah.
were never charged.
Yeah, they found your story, which was the truth, very credible. And that's when the roof kind of caved in on Jussie. You know, and then I know, you know, the follow-up, you guys testified at the trial, right? But, you know, we do have a little something, a little in common. Dan Webb, who was the prosecutor. Yeah, he was the former U.S. attorney in Chicago. And then he went into private practice. He actually represented a friend of mine in a case. And then I met up with him once or twice. It was kind of a cordial thing. But he was the prosecutor in this case, and he was a good one too. So I understand you guys were prosecution witnesses, correct?
Exactly, the star witnesses.
Yeah, told the story, the jury believed you, and he ended up being convicted, Jussie. You know, and I'll tell you this, I had commented on this, and after it was over and he got convicted, I did a video on it, and I said, listen, this is not a bad guy, he's not a criminal. I don't think he deserves to go to prison over this. I don't think prison is the answer to every, you know, situation out there like most people do. I said, you know, it was a crazy thing that he did, but what really kind of turned me on him is the fact that he was so adamant, you know, you're caught. And you guys are his friends. At some point in time, you're not going to go to jail. Sit down and just kind of come clean. He wouldn't even gone to trial had he just sat down and explained what was going on here. And he would have also kept his relationship with you guys. But he was so adamant, you know, even till today, from what I understand, he hasn't gotten off of it. And that kind of turned me off on him a bit.
Because you know, when this first everything popped off and they actually threw the case out. They let him walk.
Right.
They actually let him walk back in 2019, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
They actually let him walk. It was his mouth that allowed the case to be reopened. If he had just walked away and didn't say nothing, he'll be good. But him coming back up and saying that, oh, you see, I'm innocent, that they let me go, nothing happened, that I was really attacked. It was him doing that actually allowed them to reopen the case again.
Exactly. He was kind of braggadocious about it, saying that I wouldn't be my mother's son if I did what they said I did. And that was a slap in many people's faces. They're like, wait, what? You didn't have to serve no time. They just dropped the case. And that left a thought in people's minds also that maybe he was telling the truth. The state's attorney didn't have him admit guilt
At all.
So the people of Chicago especially were very upset about that.
Yeah, it was a terrible mistake. I don't know who his advisors were or his attorney at that point in time, but it seemed like a real prideful thing at that point in time. And you know what they say, pride comes before the fall, and that certainly happened in his case. But you know, even more so, you guys were his friends, and he, you know, he just kind of stabbed you in the back, you know, in plain English. Instead of just saying, hey, this whole thing went wrong, I apologize. Fortunately, you know, nothing really horrible happened. I got away with this. But he doubled down and really paid the price for it and put you guys through a lot of aggravation you didn't need.
He did. He even made put out false narratives that him and I were in a relationship, that we did sexual activities together, which is totally not true. None of that happened. But that was his defense. His defense was that I was in a relationship with him. My brother did not like that. So in order to prove to my brother that I was not in a relationship with him, we should attack him. So that's a theory that they put out there, which is bonkers. That's like crazy. That's so far-fetched. So
yeah, just one crazy theory after another that he threw out there. Let me ask you a question. How has it affected your career and you know, your lives after all of this happened? I know you've been through it for sure.
So initially, before we were both professional actors, I was with the #1 acting agent in Chicago. And at that time when that situation happened, they had dropped me. So that was a blow to me because I had just recently got with them. I was getting auditions. We were getting auditions, and the auditions had stopped completely. And that was our livelihood. And also, we couldn't really train people either because people that were asking about training, what they really wanted was information about the case. They didn't really care about training or any of that. So we couldn't really go get any regular jobs, or so our livelihood was completely just wiped out. But now it's on an upward trajectory. Definitely is. We have a manager out in LA, and we have auditions that were going on. We're still acting. I'm professionally boxing. He has picked up boxing as well. I'm ranked number 25 in the world with only 6 fights. I'm 6-0 as a professional boxer. And
We started our own podcast as well called The Big Hoax,
yeah,
which is on YouTube.
on our YouTube channel. So we
Yeah.
have all that going for us. So things are looking bright. And honestly, that's not due to us, that's due to the Almighty. Because without the Almighty, we wouldn't be able to be where we're at and have gotten through this. And we did face some dark times when all these claims, Jussie was making these false claims about us. I went through dark times, and it was God that let me get through those dark times.
Well, brothers, we have that in common because I certainly wouldn't be sitting in this seat speaking to you now if it wasn't for God having a different plan and a purpose for me. But, sometimes we have to go through adversity, and God allows us to go through this to bring us out of the darkness and into better times. And, it's all about turning adversity into an advantage. And I think you both have done that, and you're doing that. And I think it's great. The truth came out. You guys have been honest about this all the way down the line. It's been shown that. I mean, I've watched, a lot of your public statements, and I followed the case a little bit. So people are seeing that now, and hopefully you're going to be rewarded and get what's coming to you for all the hard work you've put in.
Yeah, and honestly, it has been our upbringing, our parents, being immigrant parents from Nigeria. They taught us that school education was the most important thing. They brought us up in the church. So we always had that to fall back on or to be a part of us. However, why would we do something like this? I think we were ambitious and we weren't thinking things all the way through, or thought we didn't think much into it. We were very ambitious. We still are very ambitious. We just gotta curtail it or tailor it the right way into the right fields and the right aspects.
Well, you've had an experience now, and look, from day one, you weren't looking to hurt anybody at this point, and I think people understand that. But I want to bring up something, again, with no promises or anything, but just something that's going on in my life. I'm getting together with Mike Tyson on a platform that we're putting together. Mike, as you know, has transformed his life, and it's very important to him to use his past experiences for the benefit of others. And, as we go through this, and it's coming together nicely, a city like Chicago, where so many young people are getting destroyed every weekend. I mean, I just cannot understand how our country, as a whole, is not getting together to try to do something, to save the situation that's going. So many young lives are being affected. And since both of you fellas are there, if we ever do get to Chicago as part of our plan, especially if you're into boxing, because let me tell you about Mike. I once asked him, we were sitting down having dinner, and I said, Mike, are you into MMA? Do you like that? And he looked at me and he says, Michael, if two ants were walking across the table and started fighting, I'd be into that. He said, anything that has to do with fighting, I'm into. It made me laugh. So I'm sure he would love to, to meet and talk with you guys. And if we can do anything to benefit the city of Chicago and try to influence some of these young people and put them on the right track, we would certainly look forward to engaging both of you and helping us do that. So we're going to stay in touch, really. And it was a pleasure meeting you. Anything else you want to say or tell anybody, or anything else, that we can do to support you in any way?
Yeah, so we're working on a book right now that should be done by August time. It should be out. We already have a publisher and everything, so
Great.
everybody should look out for that. And we're also working on a children's book as well.
Excellent.
Yes. And it's about our lives, about the situation that's coming up out of it. And of course, God is in there, and He has to be.
Well, I think you both can have a very powerful influence on our young people today, and we need, we need men today to stand up and be men and be a strong and positive influence on what's going on these young people in the world. Between the drug epidemic, it's a whole nother issue, and young people, more depression today than there ever was in almost in our history. It's terrible, and a lot of broken homes and kids coming out of homes. You both had the advantage of having a mom that raised you perfectly. I'm not sure about your father, but was your dad great? Listen, I think the source of much of the problems that we have with our young people are broken homes. They just don't get the proper environment. So, but anyway, I'm sure you are going to be in touch with me, and we're going to be in touch in the future in any way that we can work together to do some good. I'd be happy to do that, and hopefully you guys will too.
Yeah.
Thank you. I want to ask you one thing. What is the greatest piece of advice you would have for young people?
Well, obviously it's all about the Lord with me, and to seek the Lord first. I mean, that was the ticket in my life that saved my life. But I always tell these young people two things. I said, number one, you are who you hang out with in this world. You got to pick your company well. You got to hang out with people that are going to influence you in the right direction. I always tell them, look, when I was on the street, I was responsible and accountable to my oath, and as a result of that, I hung around with the wrong guys. I was a criminal. And I'm not blaming them. I was willingly a part of it, so it was on me. So, who you hang out with is so important. Secondly, who you're accountable to in life is going to direct the path that you're on. Again, I'm on the street, I'm accountable to my oath, to my boss. As a result, criminal activity, went to jail. It could have been a lot worse. But now I'm accountable to my God first, to my wife, to my children, people that rely on me and expect me to do the right thing. And that's what straightened me out. Because, guys, when I came to Christ, I didn't get a lobotomy. I don't forget the 20 years I put on the street, and, it can go back just like this really quick. You have to nourish yourself, and you have to stay in good company. And that's the best advice that I can give you. And if somebody is trying to lead you in the wrong direction, cut it off. Don't be shy about it. Cut it off, because they're not doing any good for you. And I think Mike would tell you the same thing. He's been through it, and he knows it the same way. So, but you guys are on the right track. Keep it up. I'm rooting for you, and I know you're going to do well. And I'm here. Hopefully we'll get together again. When your book comes out, let me know. We'll get out there and we'll promote it as best we can. And when I get into Chicago, I'll definitely give you a holler. I think I'll be coming back there at some point this year. And we'll stay in touch.
Okay,
Awesome.
Sounds great.
Thank you so much.
So there you have it. I mean, I don't know about you, but this was very interesting to me. It's really sad. Jussie Smollet, who really had everything. I mean, I have to believe that he did get that letter that they spoke about, the hate mail, I would say. And I'm sure that's very off-putting. You don't want to receive something like that. He goes to the studio. They kind of say, hey, what do you want us to do about it? But why did he take it a step further? What was going on in Jussie's head? What made him want to take it to this extreme? Okay, he was an activist. He didn't like Trump. A lot of people don't like Trump, but you really took this to an extreme, in my opinion. And he goes through it. You heard the brothers talk, the whole situation. Goes to trial, gets convicted, didn't get much time. As a matter of fact, I got beat up at one point right after the trial. I said, I don't think he should be sentenced to prison. He's not really a criminal in that regard. I don't think prison's the answer to everything. But anyhow, I think he got 6 months. He did 150 days, something like that, and he was let out. But what I didn't like was after this case was initially dropped, they weren't going to press any charges against him. He doubled down. He said, no, this really happened. It was out there already. The police knew it didn't happen. He would have gotten a pass on it, but he doubled down. And until this day, he's doubled down on it. He refused to tell the truth. And it's obvious that these young men were telling the truth. Two good guys telling the truth. I think at some point in time in life, people, you got to just say, hey, you know what? I messed up. And you just come clean with it. Nothing was going to happen to him. But as a result, his career was really tarnished, really bad. I don't think he's gotten any other work since then. So, sometimes in life, especially if you're caught with your hand in the cookie jar, it's time to say, you know what? Okay, This was the reason I did it. I wasn't thinking properly. At the end of the day, nobody really got hurt. Okay, the city spent some money and things happened like that, but hey, nobody really got hurt. This is what I did, why I did it, come clean. This is a forgiving country. People do forgive in this country if you admit the truth and come clean. Hey, I made a mistake. But some people have a tough time doing that. But these brothers, they struggled as a result of that, as you heard. They lost their agency that was representing them, and they went through some tough times as a result. But now, thank God they're coming back, and their belief in God is what guides them, and we certainly share that in our faith, and hopefully they're going to be okay. So that's it for today. We try to bring you interesting stuff. I know this is not a mob story, but hey, it's interesting. And people, we're always going to bring in some of the mob stories when they're relevant, when they mean something. I know you enjoy that. But I think we have more to offer on this platform, so we're going to continue doing that. We got some good interviews coming up. Not going to reveal them now, but some good one. One is from The Sopranos, an actor from The Sopranos. I know you're going to like that. So that's it for today, my friends. How do I always leave you? Same way, not going to change. Be safe. Chicago, what's going on there? Be safe, please. Be healthy. And as always, I wish God to bless every one of you and your families. Yes, I'll see you next time. Take care.